slight post credit to the recap from earlier today was specifically the notion or idea that this life force, this Nui and Quarry energy, seemed to have some level. I don't want to say of sentience, but I'm going to say like kind of sentience. I don't think I misunderstood the DM on this one in that it wanted to decay and destroy and kill and all that kind of stuff. And it's like that's kind of a horrifying implication. There's two things. One, I think I've touched this in the recap earlier, is that Borman guy theorized or said that there was evidence pointing towards that Quarry was the natural state. And two, that there is like this presence or this feeling or this sensation that like that you want to destroy with it, or that it wants to destroy. And I've encountered that before several times now, two times that I've interacted with it directly. First with Laku, and then with Leany, where it seems sentient and resistant to healing effects, or to at least outside interference. So that's kind of terrifying to have, like, like usually you think like, oh, like I fire up my key blast and everything like that, and I let it rip at some bad guy or some guy who wants to give me some trouble. No big deal. With this, and this is the horrifying implications is it like you're tapping into some sort of sentient power that has its own wills, wishes, and desires. That's what's scary about it. Um, we'll see what happens here, because like it's it's definitely concerning, because it's like usually, like I said, you're like, oh, this guy's gonna be trouble. Like, idea my power up a blast, and I hit him. Well, it's this one. It's like, well, the did you power up a blast? The blast is like, yeah, I want to kill this man and his entire family or something like that. It's like, wow, that's pretty terrible, blast. I just wanted you to get him off my back a little bit. Is there a wrestling to deal with this not demonic, but like malevolent consciousness that exists somehow inside this energy? And it raises all kinds of questions as to what is the actual nature of this power, given that it's so hard to quantify and that it has like so many weird ephemeral traits compared to other energies. We live in like the fantasy world of generations, everything like that, and like some energies present themselves in certain ways. Like this one's definitely a little different. Now, maybe someone else has experience with this and I just don't know about, where they're like, oh, like their energy has its own like wants and desires and intentions for things, or like it wants to bring them out in you. Like I likened it to, the first thing I thought of was like, oh my gosh, like this is just like literally like having the what are they called, the symbiote that Z had way back then, because it's just like, oh, like it had its own wants and desires, and like but you were able to overcome that, or I was, because I was a pretty potent psychic at the time. And I'm like just thinking like, man, I was thinking of rolling up a symbiote for Cass, but now it's just like, oh, we've got this malevolent energy inside us. Last thing I need is a little malevolent creature clinging on to me and then like buddying up while I'm just like the backseat passenger at that point. So it's a very scary thing to be associated with. Like if it was just like the balance of life and death, I could understand that. Like Cass wouldn't be that adverse to it. But the fact that this thing wants to take, oh, I got my windows open. Sorry, pollen's everywhere. The fact that this thing wants to do this, like this thing doesn't exist in or whatever, this like feeling, sensation, these black flames, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't exist in a neutral state. Cass had to struggle to get it like to like maybe accept the idea of neutrality, that there is life and there is death, there's healing and then there's decay. And it's like this thing just seemed like it was all in for the taking the entropy, the draining the life force from everything around it. It's like, man, that's crazy. Like, balancing all things, but it's like, no, this thing is very much on a one track path. So like that's very square. That's very scary. I'm gonna be looking at that energy sheet a little closer on the in the generation store and trying to figure out some stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of things that go with this now. As there's some stuff in my history that I've looked at a half a dozen times, but like I just need to like read over and reabsorb about like different people who have either tried to enslave us, they've exposed us to these plagues, they've wiped out a good portion of our population. Like we've been through some stuff, so there, like I said, I'm curious to see if there's some sort of tie into all that, like in the ancient history. But we'll see. But that was my little like horrible implications things of like usually like when you fire up your energy and you fire your blast with it. But it's like with this one, it's like you have this like almost sentient malevolent force tied to your energy, which is scary. Now I think like there's probably some demonic stuff that might be like that that's tied to a very specific being, but I thought like from the way they talked is like Nuitari or the Nui thing is a thing that permeates all things. And I have a bit of a theory about it that it's like the Nui energy isn't so much an energy, it's just like it's almost like on a I mean I don't want to say cosmic scale because cosmic is its own thing in generations, but that it exists, it's like manipulating natural forces that are already there, and it's more about the manipulation of them than the projection of them. So like it kind of like the whole like seeing the life strings attached to different living beings and being able to strengthen those bonds or sever them. it might be a it might be like I said, it might not be its own separate energy, but more a manipulation of natural biological energies that exist in some way. But we'll see. That's just kind of like a little starting theory that I'm having because, like I said, there's just no presentation of it whatsoever, like across any spectrums that we have. So we'll see. But yeah, that was my little like post credits.